Voice is audible for all. Kindly tell if my voice is audible. My voice is audible. Tell it in the chat box. Okay. Okay. So this is going to be 4 days of workshop. Basically, we're going to discuss about JavaScript advanced to master. Thank you. Thanks so much for voice is audible. So, what are the topics and what are the things that we're going to cover in this 4 days? You can check out that in the description. Okay, you can able to see at the live description. You can able to see it. Okay, yeah, this is a live section, and also the recorded is also available. You can watch it anytime for free in YouTube. Okay, so you can get that also. Okay, and in the description you will get what are the topics that we're going to discuss, what are the things that we're going to cover, as well as like even more we can able to cover. We will cover it within this 4 days. Okay, so we will complete that one. Okay, so that's what we're going to see. And probably if you're new here, and we conduct this workshop in every month regularly for a repeated number of times. Okay, so and this is going to be the last month. We're going to conduct this kind of workshops because from next month itself we're going to conduct project workshop. So these workshops not available because we have done so much of like this. This is going to be the last workshops maybe. Okay, and yeah, so if you are new here, let me tell that each and every day, so this is going to be a 4 days of workshop. Each and every day, we will give you a Google form. Okay. So if you fill the Google form, you will get a participation certificate in the name of TWD. Okay. So again, if you want it, you can fill that form and you can get that also. Yeah. And those who are watching regularly, you will get that. Okay. So this is day one. Wednesday, we are not going to have no classes, and Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, we will have classes. Okay. And any other doubts, like if you have with the classes or if you want to discuss with me, you can feel free and tell it in the chat box. And I will watch your chat box frequently and I will reply to. Okay. So if you have any doubts related to JavaScript, you can ask me and I will reply that. Okay. Yeah. So now we'll just get started. So here I think you can able to see the screen. I will going to create a file. Okay. So there is no basics. The whatever the prerequisites for this workshop is here, no basics. Okay. So you need to know about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are not going to take the DOM operations and basic syntax. And no basics will be taken here. So if you are not learned the basics, we already taken 4 days workshop for the basics of JavaScript. Watch that before. Okay. You don't need to watch this one because this is something uh, for person who's intermediate level, who want to go deeper, so they can learn. Okay, so that's it. So here, you just go and open VS Code, the code editor I'm going to use for our project first of all. Okay, and the next thing is let me open a browser here. Okay, so this is the two things that we're going to use it here. Yeah, sure. And what are the files that we actually need is we need only a HTML file and JavaScript file because there is no apply like we're going to see about the concepts, core concept. We are not going to apply that. We are going to interact. We are not going to build something. Okay, so the core concepts that we're going to discuss. So we need index.html to show our HTML file first of all. So let us create this one, and I just mention it as JS Advanced. Okay, and here let me create an H1 JS Advanced. Right. Like this. Right. So let me ask to open it with live server. Yeah, we getting the file. That's it. So this is our file is going to be. And what is the other file that we need is we need JavaScript file, spare where we're going to work our code and all. So it is going to say app.js, And here in this index.html, below this bottom of the body tag, I'm adding the script. And here I just going to mention src dot slash app.js file. Okay, so that's it. We have added. Let us go here. Let's check whether our file is successfully added or not. Okay, just going to say hello. Go and inspect. Checking the console. We are getting this. Everything is set up and everything is fine. Okay, so now first concept that we're going to work on is we're going to understand what is prototype. Okay, prototype, and they are going to see about prototypal inheritance also, but not going to use prototypal inheritance because that is outdated. We're going to see about prototype and what is the relationship between class and what is class inheritance. This one we're going to see that. This one we're going to see this one. And prototypal inheritance, exact same of class inheritance. Those things we will cover. Okay. So first concept is going to be this is one we're going to, and once we covered this one, we jump into scopes. So first let me cover this one. First of all, it all starts with an object. Okay. The first question is why object? Why we need to create an object? If I want to store a data, I can store it in a string like primitive data types, right? We have string variable. We can store like this. Why I need to create an object and group things together, group the function together? Why I want to create it? The thing is, structuring our code, structuring our code, and we can say that structuring our data, anything. Okay. So the basic this gives the idea of keeping the data of similar types and the function, which means the behavior in of the similar types, keeping things together. Okay. So that's what's going to be going to be object of. Okay. Okay. So let me do this. So for example, if I want to create an information about two persons. Okay. So first way is to write this like normal procedural way. For example, let first name equal to here I can mention my name. Okay. And if I want to mention the age of the person, what I need to do? Let first name, first person, age like this. And I can say like let me say 27 like this. Okay. Imagine that right now you need to create a function. Okay, you need to create a function for this particular data. What we will write? We will write function, and I just say get first name. Okay, like this. Get first name, and here we are creating a function, and here I just going to say return first name. Okay, plus first person age, like this. Okay, so made a mistake, like this. And now this is a way of creating. What about if I want the exact same syntax for a second person? Here comes the problem. What we need to do is you can see the exact same function. You can see going to see that the exact same thing, but for different person. So here I need to mention it as the first name of a second person. Okay, just say second like this. Okay, and here first person age. I just mention as second person age. In person age. And what are the changes that you want to make for this function? You can make it here. This function, you can make it here. And change the function name, first name, get first name. Here I say first person name. Here also to keep logical. Here I just going to say second person name. Okay. Remember that it will be work, right? It will be work. For example, we change the code. It will be work. Remember that this is not a great way to create and work with your data. Okay. Why? Because every time you can see the same function, the function is going to add the person name and age. That's what it is going to do. The same functionality it is going to do again and again. right? And each and every time I need to create a global variable for a single person. Remember that you want to create an application that is going to handle a person data of 1,000 people, 2,000 people. So imagine that in that time we cannot create a simple single variable like this. So that is why you can see this information and this information are related to it together. And also we have repetition of codes. That is the one thing that we need to do. Every time we need to create let function, and every time we need to do this. So we need to stop this. So here comes the object, a better way to do this. Like with the help of object, a better way to structure it. How we can say const, we can say this is a procedure way of writing code, right? Just simple writing as it is. Object is a better way to do this. I just say obj object, and here I just say first person. Okay. So here it is going to be first person, and I just going to mention name of the person. I just going to mention it just like this, and age of the person, and I just going to mention like this. And if you want to add the details of the person, it is going to be a function. Okay. And what I want to do is I just want to concatenate these values, right? I just say return name, not name, name first person dot name. Okay. And then I need to say first person dot it. And now this code is much more structured. The first thing is here this function is accessible for anyone. If you call this get first name first person dot name, it will be work anywhere, right? So it is pretty complicated because here we are giving it in a global variable, and whenever we are going to execute this function, this will be executed, right? So that will be pretty late. But here you need to give and you need to focus obviously. For example, if you want to access the name of the person, then you need to tell first person dot name. Then only you can able to access it. That's how you need to go in an object, right? So that's how you can able to access. Same like that, first person dot age, first person dot detail. So you need to give an accurate endpoint that what you wanted. So simply calling get first name person, not like this, right? We will call it. So this is the structure. This is starting of structuring our code. But here comes the next problem. What is the problem with objects? What is the problem we are having with objects? When we start to create the exact syntax with some another object. For example, I need second person. Okay. So what will happen? The same syntax. Okay. The same syntax. So here you need to use every time functions and you need to create it, and creating it in global variable is not a good choice. But here it is not like that. All the data are grouped together into a single variable and it is in a single container. So that is well and good. But here there is a problem is second person. If I say second person, and here I just say like this, something like this, okay? And here let me change this to second person, change this to second person, like this. Okay, so we have created. What is the problem? Okay, so we solved the problem. Okay, keeping code separated, we grouped together and combined a structure that is well and good. And now, what is the problem with object? So, what is the next evolution is happen? So, the problem with object is you can see the repetition code here. Here also you can able to see repetition code. For example, name, age. Every time you need to write name and age, name and age, name and age. Even though you are copy pasting, 1,000 times you are creating, 1,000 times you need to write name and age, right? So the properties keys are repeating, the key values keys are repeating. So it look like simple, but imagine that you have dealing with a very big project. You are getting entire details about an employee, and you need to store around 1,000 people's. How could be it be, right? Every time you cannot copy paste it, right? So it is repeating. I need to stop the repetition of code first. And the second thing is, you can see this one, details. Okay, you can able to see this one, right? Details. And here I need to make a single change. Okay. So here instead of this first person name, I'm going to mention it as, I think people, if you new here, you have pretty complication with this, and we're going to have a separate class for this keyword. Okay. So right now, let us understand that this inside an object. Okay. This inside a function object. So that this refers to the that object where it is inside. Okay. So basically, the how can I tell means the definition for this is that this refers to an object that the function is property of. Here, the function is property of first person. So the this is a substitute of this first person. Okay. Instead of writing first person, you can call this. So this and first person both are triple equal to same here. Okay. So that's what it is. Okay. And here this refers to first person. And here if I use this, then this refers to second person. Okay. So just making a small change. Right now understand inside an object and in a method, if you use this, then it is refers to the object that where it belongs to. Okay, right now understand it. But whole other different concept will be there. We will discuss that. Okay. So now look at this. The first problem. Let us understand the first problem is repetition. Repetition. I don't want to write again and again. The second problem is look at this details. Look at this details. Is there any changes? A single word change is there. You can see no single word is there. No single word is there. Exact same function. Here, what I have written, the same exact function. The reason why I am using this keyword is because when I use this keyword, it automatically refers to the parent object where it belongs to. So I don't want to tell this object you need to refer, this object I need to refer. I don't want to tell it. So automatically understand, okay, I'm inside an object. I will take a, I'm a substitute for this object. Like this, it will understand. That's what the dynamic works. Okay, we'll discuss that later. Okay, so there is no changes will be there, right? Same function, a function, exact same function inside this person also there, and inside this person is also there. So here, what is the problem is? The problem is going to be this function is going to occupy space in this object and also in this object. Remember that if you are going to create 1,000 object, all the 1,000 object, you're going to create a function, and that function is going to be exactly the same in all the object, and it is going to take up the memory. Same function, but it is going to take up in all the objects memory. Okay, so that's what it is, comes into memory. You can, if you want to check it, okay, I can say console.log, okay, first person, this is first person, okay, and I give comma and I say second person. If I ask for it, you can see the first person detail function is there, second person also detail function is there, exact same function. It is going to do the exact same work, but it is occupying space in two different areas. I don't want that because I don't want it because just imagine that the same person is occupying each and every space in your room. Okay, so we don't want it. We just what I want is I will give you, this is a room for you. You need to keep here. Whenever I'm calling you, you need to come and you need to work for me. That's what I need to tell. So he's not like can you can everywhere. Okay, so I don't want this because there is a memory problem. Is that we need to memories are limited. We need to take care of the memory. These two things we need to solve it. Okay, so that's for the two things. Okay, yeah. So the first one is problem is repetition and then memory. These two things that we need to solve. So how can I solve it? Well, that comes the factoring function. What is factoring function is a function returns an object. Okay, so this function is used to this uh, function is used to create a number of objects. Okay, instead of writing every time. Okay, every time this object on second name like that. If I give some values, it will returns an object form. That's what a factory function is. So how can I create it? Simple, a function, and it is going to say like create person is the function name, and it is going to take two parameters, name and then age. Okay, and it is going to return an object. That object, if I say name of the person is the name, and the age of the person is going to be the age that we are getting. Okay, like this. And now you can see it is going to comment of this one. Okay, now I can use this function. This is going to be my factory function, and with the help of this factory function, I can able to generate object without the repetition problem. I don't want to write every time name and age and change the person name. I don't want to do it. How can we generate this? Let me show you. how we can generate this. Okay, so how we can generate this? Simple. On, let us say, first person equal to call the create person function, and it is going to take two values, the argument. So we can say like the name of the person like this, and the age of the person like this. Okay, and here I'm going to call another function that is going to be second person, and again I'm going to call the create person, and here if I pass for given another name like this, and if I say like this. Okay, and now if I ask for in the console.log, let me know what is first person and what is second person, and you will receive an object. The first person object contains the name Harry and the age 27. Second person object contains name Savani and the age 28. Right. So here I am not writing every time the name, age, the repetition, name, age, details, name, age, detail. I am not writing. I'm just telling what is my object name, calling the function and giving the value. And the function is returning me an object. And that object comes here to the value. And same like that, that is the problem of repetition, and that is solved here. Okay. And what is the second problem we are having? The second problem is going to be the memory, right? But here the memory is not solved till, for example, if I say detail, okay, and we create a function named detail, and this is going to be another function. That function is going to return us this dot name of the person, this dot name of the person plus this dot age of the person. Okay. Now if I save it, you can see the repetition is solved. I'm not writing every time name, age, details, and everything. I'm not writing it because of this function. The repetition is solved. But the problem is you can able to see the details are still in each and every object. You can see it is taking memory in this object also, and also it is taking memory in this object also. So this is the second problem that I want to rectify. So here comes the next updation. Okay, so remember what is the problem we are having? What is the seamless when we writing procedural code? What is the problem we having? It is not a structured one. It is not a way of writing code. Creating global variable is not good, and structuring code will get messed. And here we are structuring the code, and we are creating an object, and we are keeping things together. And here also the problem we facing two problems. One is the repetition and memory. And with the help of factory function, the repetition is done. We have created a function that is going to generate objects for us. So the syntax is going to be exactly the same. We just give the value, the exact. We don't want to write every time name, age, details, and everything. We don't want to write it again and again. So we can use it. But still, the memory problem is there. Okay. So that's why the next upgrade. What is the next upgrade? It comes the constructor function. Okay. Constructor. So function. Okay, so what is the constructor function? Well, the constructor function is also exactly like factory function, but a little bit different. Okay, so this constructor, you can see this constructor function. Right? This constructor function is the one that is available. Okay, available in Java. For example, here you can see we have seen something called as prototype. Right? What is this prototype? So when I write this code, JavaScript is going to create something, right? So how it is creating? Well, there is a constructor inside it. There is a function constructor inside JavaScript program will be there. Okay. And that function is going to create for us. Okay. So for example, let me show you where the constructor, you can see the prototype is going to be an object. We know that everything in JavaScript is an object, right? That is the object. That object is this object only. Okay. If I click this one, okay, let I comment off this one, and comment off this, and comment off this. Now, if I go inside an object, and this object is created by JavaScript, that top level object, and that object is this object. And how it is created with the help of a constructor function. If I click here, you can able to see a function called constructor, and this is the one is constructing everything for us. Okay, this is the one that is constructing everything for us. When you create a string, it only takes the string value and it is it is creating a string object and it is adding all the methods and properties that are defaultly available for that particular string, and it is that only it is going to add. Okay, this constructor function is what doing, okay, the work. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create our own constructor function that is going to construct object for us. Simple. So everything in JavaScript is an object. That object is like this one. You can see there is no top level prototype. This is the end of the prototype. Okay. So this is actually JavaScript is. Okay. So it has constructor function, and that constructor function construct everything. Whatever the code that we are giving, it is taken by the function. That function creates everything. It takes this value as a string, take the value as a number, take this, and everything it is doing by this constructor. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create my own prototype, and that prototype is going to create own object for me. How? Here JavaScript, an object that has a function, and that is creating this object whenever I'm writing to, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own prototype, and that prototype is going to create object for me. That's it. Okay. So for that, we need to create our own constructor. So how can I create our constructor function? Same like that. Waterfall function. And for differentiate a normal function with a constructor function, use caps. Okay. I just need to say create person. Okay. So you can see starting word is with caps. So basically we will use a lower camel case syntax for JavaScript. The starting word is always been small. Okay. So here for constructor, use caps letter. Okay. That is a well and good one. Okay. First thing. And here we just need to create a constructor. So for creating constructor, we need to use the this keyword. Here I just going to say what are the things I want. Name, and then we need age. Okay. And the next thing is this dot name. Let me explain once I complete the syntax. Okay. And then this dot age. 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 Okay. Here it's going to be age. Okay. So remember one thing that what I said about this keyword. So this keyword inside an object, a function, this is always refers to an object that the function is property of. So this function is inside this object. So it is this refers to that particular object, right? So that is what it is. But here you can see we have a function, but it is not inside any object. It is not inside any object. So that this refers to which one? We don't know, right? We need to know that, right? So how can we know? Let me see that. But what I'm going to do that, it is going to say const first person equal to, okay, I'm going to call create a person, okay, and invoking the function, okay, just invoking the function here, and I'm asking what is this console.log, what is this? So with the help of console.log, we know what this refers to, right? If I ask for it, you can see what it is referring to. It is referring to the Windows object, which means global object. Okay, why it is referring to Windows object, global object? Remember that whenever you are creating a keyword with var, and whenever you are creating a declaration function, all those things will go and store inside a global object only. And this is what this Windows is. Right now we created a function named create person, right? So it is go and store inside the global object one. Let me see this inside this Windows document. You can see what the function that we have created. It is inside it. Okay. So commonly these functions have an object that is global object. So simply whenever we use alert, we will call like alert, right? Alert. This is how we will call it. But this is not, we can say true. Actually, it is inside an object, that is the window object. Inside this window object only, we are accessing the alert. So though because it is a global object, we don't want to mention it. So we are skipping that. But when I call windows.alert, you can see we are getting the alert. So inside this Windows, inside this global object only, all our global variables and global functions will store. Okay, whatever we are creating, except key except the variable that is created with const and let. Okay, we will come to that part later. So now understand, whatever we are creating, it will go inside the global object. So right now I created a person. So this function is inside an object called windows. So that is a windows is there, window is there, and inside this windows object, this function is there. So we know that this refers to an object that the function is property of. So here you can see that this is inside this, right? Create name, right? So inside this function only we are having this. So that this refers to the Windows object. Clear? Understand, right? So this refers to Windows object inside the constructor function. But I don't want to mention, I don't want to, this is the default behavior of this. Okay, so it always refers to the object that it is where it is belongs to. Okay, so it is a default behavior. I don't want to mention. Why? Because here this need to refer to this first person. Why? Because I'm telling first person dot name equal to the name. First person dot age is equal to age. How can I change it? So for changing that one, you need to use a keyword called new. Once I use the new keyword, if I save it, now you can see this is not refers to the Windows object. Instead of this, this refers to an object that is having nothing. Now, if I give a value, for example, here, right, and if I say 29 like this, and if I save it, for it, so put this console dot log after this one. Okay, now you can see an object, the object is first name. So here the create person is a prototype. Okay, so it refers to the object first name. Look at this object, the object name what we have given, it is refers to it, right? What we are doing is in constructor function, this new keyword plays an important role. This is changing the dynamicity of the scope. So instead of this refers to the Windows object, it is asking him, hey, you need to refer to this person. So who is creating this constructor, you need to refer to it. Like this, it is asking. And now you can get the exact same thing how you what you achieved in the factory function. Okay. So now if I do the same thing, for example, second person. Okay. Create, and here if I say change the name to someone. Okay. And ask it in the console.log what is, remove this. Okay. So you understand this dot name is nothing but first name, first person dot name. So where you are calling if you call this function, then this refers to that particular object. Okay. So if I say first name, okay, and call what is second person and ask for what is second person. And now you are getting a name with object and name with object. Okay, we are getting it, right? And here, this problem is already solved. The repetition is already solved. So what is the problem that we not yet solved is the memory, right? So if we add a function here, it will be there in all the place. It will be there in all the place. So that is the problem that we haven't solved. If we add here also, for example, this dot, okay, it is going to be a function, and that function is going to say return, okay, this dot name plus dot age. If I ask for it, you can see still it is coming in each and every object. It is occupying space in each and every object. So how can I solve this problem? So here you can able to solve this problem by adding this one not to the object instead of to the prototype who is creating it. Remember that this is a prototype, a constructor function that is creating the objects. So instead of adding this function inside the objects, whatever we are telling here, it is go inside an object and it is going to create an object for us. So instead of this object, what we can do is we can add this function to the prototype. How can we do this? Well, we remove this one. Now, what we need to do is call the create person. Okay, so this is the create person, right? Create person dot Here you need to use a prototype. Okay, and then what is the function name? The function name is going to be details equal to, it is going to be a function, and that function is going to say this dot return this dot name like this. And now if I save it here, you can see the function is not in the memory of an object. It is not created. But if I try to access the function, first person dot details. Okay. If I call this, you can see I'm getting the name. What I returned inside this function, the name of the person, I'm getting it. I change this to second person, I'm getting it. Remember that it is not in the memory, right? It is not in the memory of the object. If I ask for the first person, if I ask for the second person, okay? You can see it is not in the memory, but the function is still working for this object that what I am calling. How it is possible? Because we added this function to the prototype. Now, remember, this is an object. This object is created by a constructor function, and that constructor function is the prototype which is creating the function. And now if I click this function, you can able to see 29 and summary. This is inside, this is the object value, and you can able to see the prototype. So what is the prototype? The prototype is something this, okay, whatever we are writing here, it is going to be the prototype. If I click here, you can able to see the detail is added in the prototype, and here the constructor function is also added. So the constructor function is the default prototype available, but this function is my sorry, this constructor function is a default function that is already available, and this function is created by me. Okay, and here you can see the first person is there, and on the top of it you can able to see the JavaScript object, entire JavaScript object. This is the prototype. Okay, so JavaScript is the prototype, and it has a function that with the help of that function we are creating our own constructor, and that constructor is an another prototype, and that prototype I'm adding this function. So you can see with the help of this prototype I'm adding it. So now what has happened is prototype is like a structure. We have defined the structure, and this is a blueprint. Okay, so we have created it, and with the help of this blueprint and with the help of this structure, we will create our own object. Okay, with different values, and here all the details are there. Whenever I want, I can go for the prototype and I can able to get it. And this exact same process is happen in all the objects in your JavaScript. Let me explain how. Same process. Okay, when I create a string str equal to, I just say what is this? But how it is a string? As console.log str dot uppercase and giving this method, you can see this is working. This is working, but how? Where this method is added? Well, a string is also an object, a function that is constructing. Whenever when I give this when I give this code, what will happen is the constructor function, the default constructor function inside JavaScript, it takes, okay, it takes it, and the default constructor function for constructing a string is const or, and it takes the function and it will, the new is the keyword, and string, capital string is the constructor function, and it will take the value. And what this new constructor, this one do is it will create an object for us. So now we can able to see the string object. If I save it, you can see we are getting string object that contains everything. And if I go inside, and this is the prototype that is creating. When I give a string, a prototype is already there, and that is take the value and converting a string into a string object and adding all the methods that are available to the string, and again convert it to a string, and it is displaying to us. Here you can able to see how the string is structured when we create a string. And also inside this prototype, you can see prototype, and it is mentioned as primitive value, but we are using constructor function and looking into the code how JavaScript is creating it. Okay. And if I click this prototype, you can able to see all the string methods, caret, concatenate, and this constructor is the constructor that constructed the string. And you can see end with, fixed, font size, font color, include, is well formed. These all are the methods that are available for strings. We use it. And here only the replace all, slides, substring, trim end, trim start, to uppercase, to lowercase, every method will be here only. Okay. So in string prototype, it is there. When I created a string, okay, so the string is taken by the constructor, and the constructor is going to create a string object and attaching all the default methods that are available for the string. And what it will do means, again, it will use a method called to method, and it will return a normal string to us. We don't know, the object is hidden, the object of the thing is hidden. Okay, so that is why this toString method is available defaultly in every object. So if I remove this one, you can able to see the toString method top of the prototype, not here. Scroll down. In JavaScript prototype, you can able to see it is available in the top prototype, toString method. So it is available string and value of method. These two things is available at the top of prototype. So whenever, whatever the data types that we are giving, everything is converted to an object, and all the functions, methods, properties, it is attached. And this toString method for string and value of method is for numbers, it will convert it. So that is why we can able to access the default method. If I say to uppercase, where it is there, it is in the prototype. So we are accessing from the prototype. Okay. So whenever an object is not, when an object is looking for, hey, whether I'm having the method or not. If I don't have the method, it is go for the top of the chain, the prototype that is created, and it is look for, hey, you have this method or not. Yes, I'm having this method, I'm going to use it. It will be used. So that is what happening in our scenario. The programming language is constructed. Now we are constructing our own application like a programming language. Prototype. Okay, little bit confusing, but watch it again and you will get it. Okay, so this is what the object that we created. If I want to create something, I need a prototype, and that prototype is this. Okay, and this is created by a default prototype. That's the constructor function available in JavaScript. Okay, and that is inside the JavaScript core object, the top level object. We are creating our own object, and this object is created by a prototype. The prototype is created by me, and to that prototype I added this function. So now this function is available like a prototype. It's like a god, and all the persons who created can have access to the god's resources like that. Okay, so he can access from the god's resources and you can able to use it. So here the function is created only once in the memory prototype. Okay, we created in the memory of in the place of prototype, we created the function only once. But all the object, if I created 1,000 object, 10,000 object, all the object can able to access it. So this way the memory is saved. So this is the problem that prototype solves. Okay, prototype solves. And remember that with the help of this prototype functionality, you can able to change the default available objects also. For example, you can able to change a string object, you can able to change date object, any object that you default available object that is available in JavaScript, you can able to change it. But you should not do this. Okay, if you do this, then probably you will come to face a lot of issues. Okay, so because the default prototype, we will never touch it. Okay, so only the prototype we created, we need to touch it. Have a look into some W3 documentation, prototype and inheritance, it will be there, and they will mention a warning like you should not change the default prototype of a JavaScript. You should change whatever the prototype that you create. That's what. Okay. So this is what all about prototypes. But it is not never ended. We can see the updation, how it is happening. A normal procedural level way, object oriented, and comes to factory function, comes to like constructor function, and then get into the prototype to solve the problem that having in constructor function. Now also we have a problem. What is the problem? Well, the all main problem is solved. But what is the core updation that we will do whenever we are working in a programming language? Syntactic sugar, right? So we will update, like we will uh, just a minute. Yeah, syntactic sugar, right? We like to use a little bit code, and you can see this prototype word itself something complicated. Okay, using prototype word itself something complicated, and no one wants to use it, and that's why comes as this classes. And remember, and another thing, JavaScript is not a class-based object-oriented programming language. Not a class-based object-oriented programming language. Remember that, not a programming class-based object-oriented programming. If you have confusion, go for here. Classes, object. You can see classes are the special type of functions. We can define the classes just like a function, declaration, and function. You can see what is classes in hoops in JavaScript. Here you can see the special type of a function. We can define just what is classes. Yeah, here you can see a very good definition by Firefox. You can see classes, a template for creating an object. They use the encapsulation data with code that work with data. Classes in JavaScript are built on prototypes. Remember that, built on prototypes, but also have some syntax and semantic unique to classes. So now remember that, built on prototypes. Now I'm go here and asking, oops, object oriented JavaScript is object oriented is object oriented. You can see same, it is derived by free fire code. JavaScript is not a class based object oriented language, but still he has the base to use the oops concept. We can use oops concepts, like we can use the very good four pillars of oops concept, and we can write code, but it is not a class-based object-oriented programming language. If you know some other programming language, probably you will understand what I'm saying, which means classes are actual thing in some other programming languages. So an actual concept is there for classes. But here in JavaScript, classes is not a concept, a whole different concept. It is not a concept, just a syntactic sugar for this prototype inheritance. Right now, we are using a very big, lengthy prototypes dot function like this, right? To reduce the syntax only, we are having classes, not a concept. So that is why JavaScript is not a class-based programming language. It is, but we can use object-oriented. So that is why I say that it's built on prototypes. So if I use classes, it looks exact similarly in other programming language, how it exacts. Same like that, here also it looks similar. But it is just a syntactic sugar. JavaScript, it is a syntactic sugar, just a syntactic sugar. But here it is not. In other programming language, classes are actual concepts. They are not syntactic sugar. Okay. So here classes is like syntactic sugar for this prototypal inheritance. Okay. So now understand that when I write this code, what we achieved the repetition is stopped, and also we can able to add the function to the prototype, right? So two things is possible here. Just a minute. Yeah, two things is possible here. Okay, so that is why we are adding here. So the same thing we can able to achieve with the help of classes, with the help of classes, but very easy, simple. How? So for creating classes, you need to create class. The classes are a blueprint to create an object. They are just a syntactic sugar. They are built on prototypes. When I use classes, in the back of JavaScript, the exact same process is going to take place. Okay, but instead of writing this syntax, we're going to write this syntax. So here, class, tell the class name. I just going to say create person. Okay, and I just going to comment of all the things. Okay, remember what are the things that we have achieved? We have achieved repetition is stopped, and also the function is added to the prototype. The same thing I need to achieve. How can I achieve? Save it person. Remember that give That is well and good. And here I just going to say not this one. We don't want parenthesis, directly go like this. And here you need to use constructor. And this constructor, it will contain all the data. Okay, it will contain all the right now we used a new keyword to construct a constructor, right? Instead of using that one, we are going to use new keyword also. But instead of creating a function, we're going to use the direct constructor function. Here it is going to contain all the properties, data and everything. Okay, name and age like this. Okay, and here what can I do is you need to tell that this dot name equal to name. Okay, this dot age equal to age. And we know that if we want to change the scope of this, we need to use new keyword. So I'm just going to say font first equal to new create person. Okay, here I just going to create the name. Okay, and it is going to 30. Okay, if I ask for console.log, what is first person? You can see we are doing the exact same thing. If you want to do the same thing for a second person, okay, so change into second person and change this one to some other thing like this. Okay, and now asking what is second person. If I ask for it, you can see exact same thing. Now this one is achieved, but this prototype, how can I add a function to the prototype? We need to write some lengthy syntax, right? Call the create prototype, and we need to use the prototype, and you need to tell. Here it is very simple. Below this constructor, remember that this is a prototype, and inside the prototype only we are having the constructor, right? If I click here inside the prototype is the space where the objects are created. If I click here, you can able to see the constructor. And inside this only, I need to add the function. Simply, how can I add dtype? Dtype, add like this. Simple. Dtype, what method that you want to add, you can add it. I can simply going to say return dot new. Now, if I save it, go here, click on the prototype, you can see the detail function is added. You don't want to use this much of big things, but in the background, it is doing the same exact thing. But when I writing code, it is well and simply structured. We don't want to write something like bigger things and everything. Okay. So now, if you want to use the detail method, if I call the function, you can see the function is working perfectly. So this way, syntax is also reduced, and also we reduced the repetition. A function is created only once in the memory. Whenever we want, I can go and access it, I can use it. And these kind of problems that we have solved in this entire thing. This is all about prototype and then classes. Classes is not a different thing in JavaScript. It is built on prototype. Okay, JavaScript is not a class-based object-oriented programming language. It's a syntactic sugar that will be reducing. Instead of using prototypes, using the words prototype and working with some other methods also available for prototype. Instead of using those methods, the classes will simplify our. That's what it will do, and that's what it's all about. Okay, and here one more problem is also that is prototype inheritance. Remember that we are not going to take prototype inheritance now. We stopped here itself. Okay, so remember that where it's all started. It's all started when I write procedural programming. I need to group things. It's all started when you want to write repeated the same syntax. Want to repeat again and again. I need to reduce the repetition work and I need to save the memory. Right. So these two things. So when the repetition has happened, we need the updation. So same like that. Here, what if someone want to create a prototype, exact prototype, not to create a person, create an employee. So here, what if I want to write instead of person, if I say create employee. What if I want to instead of object, if I want to recreate a prototype, exact same prototype. Here also you can able to see the Here also you can able to see the what the repetitions, right? So I need to solve this repetition, and this is called as prototypal inheritance. What is this? This is called as prototypal inheritance. So if I want to copy another person prototype and I want to build my own object, then you can do it with less code, with less error, and with less things happen. And it's still we can able to access the data and methods also here. So that is the cool future. So it's all about a hierarchy. A prototype, creating another prototype. With the help of prototype, I'm going to create two more prototype. And with the help of two more prototype, I'm going to create my own objects. It's like that. Okay, it's like that. So basically, it's simply like watching Avengers Ultron. Okay, so it's like that. A program that is created in another program, and that program is creating all whole set of things, right? So a prototype is created, another prototype, and with the help of this. And if you want to, and if you what is prototypal inheritance, you can consider that as the vision. Okay, so exact prototype, but with some modification. This is built as evil. To solve this, I need to build a good. So exact prototype, I need to copy the strongest, the intelligent, what that prototype has. I need to build the exact same prototype, but with some good features. So some modification. Same like that. Object JavaScript object is a prototype. They have a constructor function. With the help of that function, we are creating our own prototype. Okay, we are creating our own prototype. Now I need to create exact same replica of prototype with some modern advanced features added to that. That's what prototypal inheritance is. Okay. So yeah, that's what's all about today. Prototypal inheritance and classes. And if you have any doubts, you can ask it me in the chat box. And let me share you the link. Okay. 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 So be in the line. I will share you the link for attendance form. Please fill the attendance form to get the certification and get notified in the LinkedIn by WWS. I will share you the attendance form. Okay. If you have any doubts, you can ask with me. The meeting will end at 12:30. Okay, just a minute, just a minute. Okay. Can I copy this one? Yeah. So the attendance form is shared in the chat box. So once you filled it, just type it, filled it, we will create it. Okay. So yeah, if you have any other doubts, you can ask me now. Probably that's it. So we will use, yeah. So yeah, this is what this whenever we are studying and concepts, whenever we are studying an application, so understand what is the problem that it is solving and what is the evolution that has happened from the starting of JavaScript to now. What is the evolution that is solving and everything. So that will give us a clear picture. Okay, so which method I can use for my better purpose. Okay, everyone uses classes. There is another way also to solve this prototype, but classes is most one of the recommended way to work with the prototype. So these problems are solved by four different ways. Okay, so two more ways is to solve the this memory problem. But most used cases will be recommended. Why? Because that is used by most of the community, and if you are writing code that is not understand by everyone, is not a good code. So it should be understand by everyone. If it is, it should be keep simple and clean. So that is why most recommended ways is always that's how the classes comes into picture. There is also another thing called object dot create, and with the help of these functions also object dot create, that method also you can able to solve the prototype. This adding a method to a prototype, you can able to create it and you can able to solve it. Right? So but that is not a recommended one, and that is not something very what can I say, uh, not very useful method. That's what it is. Okay, so yeah, it's time's up, guys. And if you have any doubts, go through the class and watch the recordings. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me the tomorrow's classes. And tomorrow we're going to discuss about the scopings, immediate working functions, closures, hoisting, and so more topics we're going to cover within 3 days. Stay. Bye.